All right. Well, football season is upon us, and that means it's fantasy football time. And here to break down some players and some teams is one of the greatest minds in fantasy football, Ian Ritchie, with Fulltime Fantasy. I took the liberty of crowning you that. You've always been amongst the tops in analyzing this, and you're also, Fulltime Fantasy and Circa are hosting the Dr. Feinberg Invitational, which Alyssa is in. Dave Hall in Kirika, who you'll be interviewing, she'll be interviewing you later today. We're all excited to find out your thoughts on what is looking good. But I took the liberty of also choosing some video that we can go over. Okay. And I think, Ian, probably the number one guy that everyone's thinking of locally is Ashton Genty. Of course, with our Raiders, he was, that first week, he didn't look so good. He looked fine, but he had nowhere to run.
He had nowhere to go. Yeah.
But this last week, he might have salvaged that that first round draft pick.
I think he did. I mean, in the first couple of weeks of our drafts, he was going in the first round. He had that rough first week where he didn't look so good. Everybody got a little nervous. Backed off. All of a sudden, he's second round now.
Okay.
I think he had a really good game. I think the one hesitation folks have is that he runs so hard. And guys that run hard like that, whether it's like a Pacheco or other guys that are really big and they lower that shoulder and hit people, just make sure if you draft him, feel comfortable drafting him, but make sure you get the backup. And
Who's his backup right now?
Yeah, right now it was going to be Raheem Mostert.
Right.
He and Mostert right now and Zamir White are on the same kind of tier line. One will make the team, one will get cut.
Okay.
So if you take Genty, just make sure you get the backup.
Okay, perfect. You get a team like the number one pick consensus is Jamar Chase. He had a great year last year. He's on the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's a wide receiver. But when it comes to the Bengals, they have a lot of guys that are juicy for fantasy football. Yeah. Is it better to take one of them? Well, obviously Chase, but let's say like a T. Higgins, who's kind of the second wide receiver. Or is it better to try to get a guy from a team where he's the only show in town, like let's say a Calvin Ridley for the Titans? There's really no one else.
Right. You know, with those types of guys like a Ridley, you have a lot of upside because a lot of those teams, when there's only one guy, especially if they have a losing record, they're behind a lot, so they end up throwing all the time. Fortunately, the Bengals, even though they win, when there's 4 minutes ahead in the game and they still have the lead, they're one of the few teams that continues to throw.
Okay.
So I would load up on Bengals. We love T. Higgins. We like Chase Brown a lot.
He's the running back.
Yeah, he's the running back there. We think he's really good.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. He's on the great top tier with the Lamars and the Josh Allens.
Yeah.
And so we really like those. But your point about Ridley is a really good one. If you can get a receiver that is a number one receiver on a losing team, grab him because they get a lot of garbage time. Okay,
very good. Now, you've also said, like a lot of fantasy analysts, one big strategy is to wait on the quarterback. This year, it seems like there's a lot of good ones. I chose, just as an example, Bo Nix. You could wait and get him later on. He's on the Denver Broncos. He had a really good first year. And there he is right there. He definitely has that experience. I know he's a little bit older, too. Is that still the theory, or do you try to get Josh Allen?
Well, I think if you're in a league, you need to understand the scoring.
Okay.
And if your quarterback is getting 6 points for a passing touchdown, take your quarterbacks earlier.
Yes.
If they're getting 4 points, then you can wait and feel good about taking somebody who's a running quarterback because they'll get you those running yards on top of the passing yards as well.
So you got a guy like Josh Allen, but even more so like a Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts.
Even a Jalen Hurts, a Drake May. Later on.
You can get him later.
A Bo Nix later on. So if you're in a 4-point league and you want to wait, look for that Bo Nix kind of guy.
Okay.
Those are good guys that run the football and they'll pass for some touchdowns.
I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, let's just take somebody from Philadelphia or Kansas City. After all, they were in the Super Bowl. They have good players. Do we worry about regression? Like Saquon Barkley had a great year, but maybe they don't give him the ball as much. I mean, he did a lot of work last year.
He did a lot of work, and I know a lot of people are worried about Saquon. And for me, even if he regresses a little bit, he's still very valuable and worth that first-round pick.
Okay.
I think the one thing people forget is Jalen Hurts had 13 one-yard touchdowns, which is kind of an anomaly.
Tush push.
That's right. Yeah. And so if that goes back to the 9-8 number, that opens up more scoring opportunities for Barkley. They might not be on the 1-yard line. So I know that regression is a big term for Barkley. I'm not afraid of that. I like him. With the Kansas City Chiefs, we are nervous on Mahomes and Kelsey. Those guys have fallen out of the top 5 of both of their respective positions as far as the draft goes.
Right.
And then receiver-wise, they have Rashee Rice, who's in a little bit of legal trouble with some suspension problems. Worthy is a good pick. If you
Xavier
have
Worthy.
if you have an opportunity to get a Kansas City Chief, I would go Xavier Worthy there. He's worthwhile. Pacheco's a good running back there, but like Genty, can get hurt because he runs so hard.
Yeah, that's the number one thing about fantasy is everyone gets hurt, and then it's like, oh, geez. Okay, one guy that just puts people in a panic because he's so good, but again, gets hurt is Christian McCaffrey. That is Alyssa's team. Should Alyssa, if she gets a pick around, pick 7 or 8 or 9, should she take Christian McCaffrey with confidence?
Capital, yes.
Okay.
I think that he absolutely has the chance to be the #1 scoring running back this year, staying healthy. I think he has a great opportunity as a comeback player this year, and I would take him with confidence.
Okay, all right, very good. Now, we talked about all of my videos. Now, you were mentioning there's a couple guys that have shot up the draft board because they're just playing well in preseason.
They are. They're playing well in preseason, and they're shooting up the boards. Ricky Pearsall is one that has gone
Niner
from the 8th or 9th round up until the 5th round in our drafts.
Okay.
He's kind of a breakout candidate. McCoskey Merritt, who's a running back from the Commanders, who most people have probably never heard of.
Yeah.
Was going at the end of drafts, has now snuck up into the 7th and 8th round. I think there's a lot of high-stakes players that believe in him. They believe that the starters there aren't going to hold up and may even get traded. And so it's another kind of sneaky guy to grab. And we're higher on guys like Omari and Hampton, who's a rookie with the Chargers. We think he'll do well. And Travion Henderson, who's a rookie running back with the Patriots.
Yeah, no, he's been shooting up boards. I know he had a really good preseason. I think Ramondre Stevenson, is he banged up a little bit?
He's always a little banged up, and I think that bringing in Henderson, he's very explosive out of Ohio State. He's a great player.
Yeah.
And we expect him to take over that role.
Okay, so the big Dr. Feinberg Invitational Draft is going on the same day as probably I think the 23rd, that Saturday, is one of the biggest days for drafting. It's going to be busy.
It's going to be really busy.
Yeah.
I know that we do all of our drafts at Circa. I know all of the cabanas and owner suite at Circa are all sold out for fantasy drafts.
Okay.
It's also ultimate sign-up weekend at Circa this weekend for their Circa Survivor and Millions contest.
Oh, wow, that's right.
And we have a ton of drafts going on, like the Fox 5 draft and a bunch of our high-stakes drafts. So there's a lot of action at Circa this weekend and a lot of fantasy going on. So come on down.
Well, if you're at the draft, which we think you will be, to at least pay a visit, we have cupcakes.
Oh, I love the cupcakes. Yeah.
All right, and you're actually going to stick around because you guys are also really honing in on women and fantasy football, which is, I mean, the Dr. Feinberg Invitational, and Tracy's nodding right here. She's in my Manning Man Crush League. So there's so many women that play now. You guys are really focusing on that. So you'll be talking to Inkirika during Studio 5 Live about that aspect.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Great
All right.
segment.
I'm so excited, and we will be right back.
Fox